country on the residential schools issue, but more broadly, this whole question about white supremacy and racism. To me, I detect a very strong quasi-religious self-hatred, if you will, amongst the people who are promoting these ideas and these ideologies. Am I off base with that?
No, I don't think so. I think there's a lot of truth to that. That, look, there's only so many tactics you can use when you want to put forward an agenda. And after a while, when you've got so many agendas, many of them interconnected, you end up repeating yourself. And that's the part I think that people need to be aware of. We've heard these arguments before, they just came in a different suit. And it's frustrating because the logic, nobody ever stops and says, well, all right, but we're talking about, like, take white supremacy as an example. We're called white supremacists because we question, the idea. Let's take Black Lives Matter. Okay. Well, if I say to somebody who's a Black Lives Matter supporter, hey, all lives matter. Oh, well, you're just a white supremacist. Well, what the heck? How did you make that leap? That's just nonsense. How is it you can just suddenly, throw that out there? It's because they don't have an answer. So rather than having an answer to buttress their argument in a logical, linear sense, they simply throw up this smokescreen, hoping that you'll go away or you will be intimidated into silence. And that's what, I see as the root of this.
Well, that's actually quite interesting. When I look at it and when I think about it, I start to see, the real sort of religious connotations. I think back to some of the religious wars. It's almost as though that we're almost in a second Reformation. Only instead of it being Protestant versus Catholic, it's secular versus religious. Let's say predominantly Christian in our segment of the world. Which is where this is playing out. This is not playing out in Chinese culture or Japanese culture, this is a predominantly Christian phenomenon. This is happening in the Christian world. And it's kind of like, I look at it and go, it's almost like a second Reformation. The extremists, the fanatics on either side, but predominantly on the new Protestant side, the secularists, if you will, is really problematic. And these guys are so intent on saving our souls that they're prepared to go to any extent to do so. And, it's almost like I'm waiting for the first wave of burning people at the stake. Sure, I'm exaggerating, but really on a certain level, when you think about it, ideologically, that's almost where we're at. We're not far away from that. And it seems to be all about redeeming our soul, the soul of our society. But the people who are intent on the redemption are adamantly opposed to any idea of there being a God.
Yeah, you're quite right. The public shaming. Look at masks. Look at anyone who stands up against climate change. Look at anyone who bucks the trend of recycling. Look at anyone who just doesn't want to get with this new green movement. It is very much a religious situation, and I think your analogy between the Reformation in the 15 and 1600s with the Catholics and the Protestants is pretty apropos, because if you think about it, we are pillorying people, we are burning them at the stake. We're just not using wood and oil to do it. Now it's done in the media. Now it's done in public or from the anonymity of a keyboard on social media platforms, something you alluded to earlier. So we see it happening over and over again in our culture, and you sometimes wonder what can be done to counter this, because these are otherwise decent people that, until you bring these topics up, are completely rational. and don't have any problem, and you can talk to them all day. But the moment you say something like, well, I'm not so much on recycling as an example because it's a waste of time and most of it goes in the ground anyway. Oh man, all of a sudden you're enemy number one. Or say something like, I don't think bikes in downtown are a good mix. I really think that we should limit the access bicycles have when there's heavy traffic. And all of a sudden, you're the problem. You're the one that's causing the trouble. And it happens over and over and over again.
Well, Nick, I'm watching the clock, and we're coming up to the top of the hour. So, ladies and gentlemen, look, thanks so much for joining us again tonight. If you're listening to the podcast, please take some time to share with your friends and family and other people out there on social media, because that's the way we keep the podcast free, by the way. We could put this behind a pay gate, but we don't want to do that. We want people to be able to listen to us for free, so you have to listen to an ad on the podcast every now and then. I think that's fair. Hey, that's capitalism. Thanks again for joining us this week. We hope to catch you next week. So this is Joseph Benamy, on behalf of my co-host, my good friend Nick Vandergraat, signing out. We'll catch you again next week.